All right, today we're going to talk about dealing with commercial real estate buyers. We get this question quite a bit in our membership site, and there seems to be some confusion, and especially with new commercial agents, how they should handle commercial real estate buyers. Number one, they're not super secure with approaching these buyers, but number two, they're not sure how to handle them or wrangle them. So today, we're going to do a quick training on how we handle commercial real estate buyers and how we think you should as well. So first, you need to vet the buyer. We're going to do, this is a two-parter. There's only two rules. Number one, vet the buyer. Don't spend your time spinning your wheels, running around, analyzing property when your buyer's not going to offer on anything. And it turns out they don't have any money. Number two, don't do anything other than the 3-property rule. We always use this. We have a calculator that goes by this to get the property listed. Once it's sold, we have that same calculator that just puts 3 properties in front of these guys, and it works like a charm. I'm going to show you how we do that. And then what I'd like to do is walk you through an example of, well, maybe not an actual example, but I'll walk you through the calculator. So first, we need to vet the buyers. Now, let me ask you this. What would you rather have? You've got buyer number one, and you say, well, what are you looking for in commercial real estate? Well, I'd like get me a good deal. Okay, what the heck does that mean? Who knows? Does the buyer know? No, the buyer has no idea. If you bring him a 9% return Starbucks, is he going to know that that's a good deal? No. He might just turn it down. He's kind of scared. Maybe he doesn't have any money. You're going to see this a lot as a commercial agent, and especially as a newer commercial agent. I see a lot of times the new guys will come in and they'll be so excited. Hey, I've got a commercial buyer. Great. But they haven't vetted them properly. And when you don't vet them properly, you end up spinning your wheels and you have a bad time. So what I'd rather is buyer number two. Well, what would you like? Well, I'd like to place, I have about $350. I'd like to put into a well-positioned strip center. I'm hoping to achieve an 8% cash on cash return or better. I understand, maybe the interest rates change. Who knows? Buyer number two sounds pretty reasonable. Now, you could have a buyer that comes in and wants a 12% return on a, like a Starbucks. Now you know that this buyer is not worth your time. Buyer number one, if he doesn't elaborate, if he doesn't get into the details, he's probably not worth your time. Spend your time vetting the buyers so you know where you should be spending most of your efforts, because you don't get that time back, right? You should be consider yourself worth $500 or more per hour. Are you really going to spend your time with someone that says, I want a good deal? You shouldn't. Okay. So when you're talking to buyers, make sure they know what they want, make sure they're realistic, and don't just say, if he says, I want to place $350,000, you need to follow up and say, okay, great. What price point are we looking at? How much leverage do you want? He says, well, I want $1 million property. Okay. So you've got 350 in the bank to put down right now. Yes. And some agents are a little concerned with doing that, but you need to confirm with them that it's not in stocks and bonds, and it's not, in a different country somewhere. It's in their bank account. It's easy to get a hold of, is what I'm saying. Right. So as long as they're realistic with their goals, you're going to move on to step two. Oh, by the way, if he wants to get a loan, right? 350, I want to put 350 down. I want a loan up to $1 million. Get them in front of a lender. Put the lender that you have on your speed dial on the phone with them right then, or send them over the lender and see when they contact them. If buyer number two never contacts the lender after I follow up with him once or twice, I'm not really going to work with buyer two. He's wasting my time. He's not motivated enough to go buy something. So not to say you don't push these guys a little bit, because they do need a little nudge now and then. But if he's not even going to bother picking up the phone to find out if he can actually get this loan that he's hoping for, then it's not worth your time. So say you've got someone who's realistic and they're qualified. Boom, we're going to move on, right? I'm going to tell them, look, we're going to give you what we call the 3-property rule. I'm going to always, Mr. Buyer, have 3 properties in front of you. Okay. And it's your job to tell me why you like it, why you hate it, or why we're offering on it. Because if we're just sitting on this money, we need to have forward momentum. So this is an example of what we would have. So I would have 3 properties that I would send them. Maybe one gets into a letter of intent, right? So that still stays on my 3 properties. So we've got one in a letter of intent. We've got a second one that he's still considering, whether or not he likes it. The third one, he just told me he disqualified. Okay, so what that means is I have these first 2. They're still in my, hopper until they fall out. But the third one needs to be replaced. So I need to replace that third one with a new one until that one gets dequalified, and just constantly have these 3 in front of them. And what I found works very well, if you do this, once you send 3 properties over, you may or may not have some feedback. You need to get them on the phone, and you need to sit down with that buyer and find out what they like and what they don't like. So as long as we have 3 properties in front of them, they're not going to get confused. So the problem is they get analysis paralysis. So you put 3 properties in front of them and they say, well, I like this one, I don't like this one. And it kind of sits on their table still. And you add a couple more. And so now there's 5 or 6 or 7. And then you make this matrix of all the properties they've been looking at. And now there's 15. And if you don't focus them in, it's easy for them to things to get muddled, for people to get confused. It kind of becomes a daunting thing for them. So we find 3 properties in front of them, disqualify it, or we're offering on it. Okay, tell me what you don't like about it. Why don't you like this? Okay, that's also going to help you hone in, on specifically what they're looking for. They'll help themselves hone in a little bit more specifically on what they're looking for. And oftentimes there's some hidden fears or concerns, or that may not come up in our first discovery call. And this will help kind of bring those to the surface too. So pay attention to that. So that's the 3 property. What I'd like to do is show you our calculator that we have. So this is our calculator. Now, if we're looking to list a property, we put the subject property here. This calculates everything and then spits out some values. We can have some notes here, and we compare it against some other properties. I've got 5 here just in case. But as we move through the process with the client, they have, let's say it's just the buyer, so we've got 350. Oh, that's my fault. I have numlock on. 350 to invest. Okay, so this will tell us how much is left over. So we get 350. Got $1 million. $1 million property. We want to put a down payment at 350. So what we can do here is we can put the down payment across the way here on different properties, right? So say we're moving down the line. We've got say let's just use property 1, property 2, property 3. Okay, this one's $1 million. This one is a Starbucks at 950. And this one's up there at 1.5. Okay. So, and then what we'll do is we'll go through this so they can see them side by side. So I can have all the gross rents, the expenses, the debt service, and then we always want to include the principal pay down. So when you're over here on our loan calculator, you can see my return's not just my cash flow. I'm also paying down the principal, right? So you'll want to include that on an annual basis too, so they can compare apples to apples. If they've got a subject property that they own and they don't have any principal pay down, whereas this one has, $15,000, even if the cash flow is fairly similar, they're going to find out they can actually write off a lot more with the principal, or have a better return. Anyway, this is our calculator that we use. This is what we use even after the listing. This is how we track all of the deals we're walking through and we're looking at. Say, okay, this is an accepted letter of intent. I'm interested in this, or whatever, right? Maybe we're in escrow. And this will help the clients that you have stay focused. If you want this calculator, unfortunately, it's exclusive to our members. You can sign up at the link probably in the description here and download it. And if you wanted to, just jump ship after that, I guess. But you can build something like this fairly easily, or you could just go on and pull something down from Excel probably fairly easily. And hopefully that helps. This has been, how to deal with commercial real estate buyers. Use the 3 property rule, and make sure you upfront vet them. Don't spend all your time on someone that's going to be wasting yours. Vet the buyer if they're qualified, if they're reasonable, and they got a level head. Then you move on. Okay, let's do this. So hopefully this helps. We'll talk to you next time. If this training has been helpful for you at all, I highly suggest you join us at straighttalkacademy.com. We have a membership site. This has 50 plus hours of commercial real estate training videos. We have all these toolkits and templates and tools, marketing materials, everything that we use in our commercial brokerage ourselves, we offer to our members. There's a private group just for our members to ask questions, troubleshoot problems. If you have a problem with a letter of intent or a client, we're on there. We're talking monthly. We have professional interviews with different industry professionals that have all kinds of tools and different ways to help your clients. And we also have live office hours where you can join us live and ask us questions. So it's a great way to have some support in commercial real estate. If you're an agent looking to break into commercial real estate, I would really suggest you go over there. It's a monthly fee. It's not that much, and there's a lot of benefit to it. Thanks.